Hi everyone, welcome back. This is week 44 of my social isolation get ready with me's. This week, once again, I'm not using a palette. I had somebody suggest to me, I'm so sorry, I can't remember who it was, that I use all of my oldest makeup in my collection for a look. So I've pulled out some quite old makeup in some respect. It's going to be a bit of a dive down memory lane. I did sniff everything to make sure that nothing was like too gross to use, and everything seems to be fine. So that's what we're going to be using today. It was a lot of fun actually pulling these products out to use for today because some of the stuff I just haven't touched in a long time. Thankfully though, I don't use old primers. I'm just using my regular eyeshadow primers. This is something I don't tend to keep a backstock of because it takes me probably about a year to go through a full eyeshadow primer. And lately I've just been using the Urban Decay Primer Potion and the Inglot Eyeshadow Keeper. Although looking at this Inglot one, this is starting to get quite empty because of course I haven't been wearing that much makeup this year. A lot of my products are severely underused at this point. Okay, so for eyeshadows, obviously the oldest makeup that I have in my collection in terms of eyeshadow are my MAC palettes. I used to collect these like a ravenous fiend, as did most people. So I've got this green palette here. I've got what used to be called my neutrals palette, which I think I'm going to be using some stuff from there today. And then this, what was supposed to be a pink and purple palette. See, look how much like pan I've got on some of these. But I have to point out the absolute oldest eyeshadow in my entire collection, and this is probably going to make some people gag. It is this eyeshadow right here called Shag. It is no longer available. I got it, I'm pretty sure, in 1998. That's not a lie. This shadow is from like 1998 or 1997. And it still works. I use it every now and then. It's a little bit of a deeper crease color, I feel like. Like it's not, it's just a little bit darker than what I normally go for now. But back in the day, I used to think this was like a deep eyeshadow color. Like when I was in my mid-teens wearing this, I thought I was like a badass wearing this thing. But that's not what we're gonna be using today. I think what I wanna go in with is Copperplate, which I'm pretty sure is this color down here. I've got another one over here that's quite similar, but I think that's from another more recent collection. So I'm gonna start with Copperplate. This used to be a super hyped shade. I remember Amarique's talking about it quite a bit, and I was like, oh, I gotta get my hands on it. And then I remember getting it and looking at it and being like, what is that? That doesn't do a whole lot. But I'm gonna go for kind of a gray eye look today because I got a bright lip color to use. I think that's Copperplate. Or is that charcoal brown? You know, I'm probably getting my shadow names mixed up. Was that? Ugh. The problem with these is I used to always buy them as like singles with the pot. So when I depotted them, I just put a magnet on the back, which means that they don't actually have the shade names. So now I'm a little bit confused as to which is which. That might be one from the Birds, what the heck was the name? Liberty of London collection. Anyway, these are all super old. Good 10 years at the very least. Oh, back in the days of YouTube where MAC was everything. I used to love watching people haul the new MAC collections. I thought they were so freaking cool. I remember specifically being super into the To the Beach collection, if anybody remembers that. All the hauls from that just looked so much fun because the products were so vibrant and the packaging was so cute with the little seahorses and stuff like that. Super into MAC hauls back in the day. And I was a MAC kid pretty early on. My aunt introduced me to MAC when I was about, I think it was 12 years old, because I needed makeup for my figure skating competitions to like bring out my eyes and stuff like that. So she took me to the MAC counter. So I fell heavily in love with them because I felt so cool like going downtown to the Rideau Center with my aunt to check out the MAC products. And it really wasn't until I got into like watching YouTube where I got exposure to like brands that weren't just MAC. Okay, for my lid shade, I'm going to be using this pressed pigment. This is Vanilla. Pretty sure that's the name, which I got quite a while ago. And pigments, I press them because it's so much easier to use. But whoa, too much. There's so much pigment in those freaking jars. I know they downsized them and kept the price the same. And people were really mad about, you know, the quantity that they were losing. But like, tell me honestly, has anybody ever finished a pigment who's not like a makeup artist? Like there's no chance in hell you're ever gonna finish one of those things. Okay, I want to deepen up the outer corner a little bit, so I'm going to take Handwritten here. Does anybody remember the Matte 2 formula by MAC? It was flawless. Blank type or blanc type, depending on how you say it, was the most phenomenal, like, brow bone highlight shade. The butteriness of the Matte 2 formula was incredible, but they discontinued it, and honestly, I don't know why, because it was just fantastic. The only issue with using a Handwritten, though, is that it's so pigmented and a little bit dusty that you really just need, like, barely anything on your brush, my dirty brush. I need to clean these guys, but I have no motivation to do that. So I'm just gonna put that on the outer corner. I really don't know why they discontinued it, because MAC's original matte formula was kind of like chalky and hard to like work with, but the Matte 2 formula, oh, so good. But then they got rid of it. No idea why. For my brow bone highlight shade, like I just mentioned, I used to use Blanc type all the time. I was using Shroom for a while as well, but those are like long gone. I finished those up for sure. So the last one that I really have that I used for brow bone highlight shades was Dazzlelight here. So I'm gonna use that today. Okay, for eyeliner, I definitely never really used liquid liner back in the day. I usually had pretty bad experiences applying it. I think there was like a L'Oreal liner I tried a few times and it just was a no-go. So I did use pencils a lot back in the day, and my oldest pencil is this MAC one right here. And I looked at the production stamp on it, trying to figure out what year it was from, and it says AA9. Now, that's not 2019. It's quite possible this is 2009. I don't think it's from 1999. That would be really horrifying. This is definitely my second pencil of this one, so it must be from 2009. That probably makes more sense. I have sharpened it. I've made sure that there's nothing wrong with it. So what is this actually? This is the MAC Eye Kohl in the shade Phone Number. I used to love this thing. A MAC artist used it on me one time back in the day, and I was like, that's amazing. I was asking her to do a smoky eye, and honestly, she just gave me like sort of similar to this look with like this kind of liner, and I was like, that's so cool, thinking that I had a deep smoky eye. Yeah, no, not really, but back in the day I thought I did. So I'm gonna use this one today, and all I really did back in the day was line my upper lashes, but I always had this annoying gap that you can sort of see. Is that in focus? Focus on me? There we go. I had this annoying gap between my blonde lashes and the pencil, so it never really looked amazing. So I'm gonna have to tightline in order to fix this. I used to also try to like smudge this pencil, but honestly, it didn't really smudge that well. Which is probably a good thing when you're wearing it, but I wanted a bit of a smokier effect overall. Man, it's still creamy. That's wild. I'm gonna try to smudge it anyway. I'm gonna take a Q-tip to do that because I feel like it's a little bit more firm, and I don't think a brush is gonna let me do that. Okay, that sort of worked. And just to get it between my lash lines, I'm gonna go up here. Try to wiggle it between my lashes. Well, I may as well finish up the eyes because I'm not going to be doing anything too crazy with them. So I'm going to continue going with my Phone Number Eye Kohl and just line the lower lash line here. And I'm just going to smudge that out. That was a bit too heavy down there. Oops. And just because that's fairly heavy and dark on the bottom, I'm going to take a little bit more of what I thought was Copperplate, but may not be, on the same brush that I've been using to smudge out the liner, and just put at the very edges. Okay, for mascara, I really don't have anything old, so I'm only using the current mascara that I currently have open. It is the NYX On The Rise Volume Lift Mascara. Okay, so that's basically it for the eyes, but what I'm going to do today with my old products. I'm going to skip lashes just for once because I feel like it, but let's move on to the rest of the face. So I decided to go with a foundation that's sort of old-ish, but would have been one of the first ones that I ever tried in terms of foundation, and I still love it, so I still have them on hand. It's the Revlon Colorstay Liquid Foundation. Now first, let me tell you a story. This formula is different now than it was before. When I first tried this stuff, it was unreal. It was like bulletproof and it looked so good throughout the day. There was something about how it wore on the skin that was phenomenal and nothing else could beat it. The formula has definitely changed over the years and I don't love it as much now as I used to, but that isn't to say that this isn't a phenomenal foundation because it really is. So I have two shades here and I'm not really sure which one's going to work for me right now. I've got 150 Buff and 110 Ivory. I should probably start with the Ivory and then I'll mix in some of the Buff if needed. Also, for the sake of this video, I decided to pull out my Real Technique sponge, which I haven't used in like a year now. Like, gotta tell you, I'm on board with the Beauty Blender. There's just something so much more better about it. And it's the fact that this thing tears on me now when I clean them. They're just not built to last, and I find that very frustrating. Okay, let's see. Is this gonna match me? That looks really heckin' pale, but let's keep blending it in and see what happens. No, still really white. Bronzer usually fixes that kind of issue, but I don't know if this is... that's like James Charles kind of look with the ghost face, isn't it? Okay, I'm gonna need some of the Buff for sure. I'm gonna mix that in. I can't believe I just referenced James Charles on my channel. I don't like him. I don't watch him. Not a fan. But that photo of him with the white face, which I'm apparently attempting to recreate, is forever stuck in my brain. Oh my god. Okay, just keep going, just keep going. It'll be fine, it'll be fine. Anyway, the formula itself on the Revlon Colorstay is really nice if you get the right skin tone match for you. It's a matte foundation. I definitely think that it shows a little bit more of your skin now than it used to. Before it was like super full coverage, but now I feel like it definitely lets some of your skin shine through a little bit more. Not that you're really seeing right now, but yeah, okay, you can. See, some of my deeper freckles are definitely showing through there, so I like that. I don't love a full coverage foundation. But there is something to be said for full coverage matte foundations outlasting anything else. Like the dewy, really like skin looking good foundations, end up looking so oily on me after a while, and it's just because it goes from like nicely dewy to like oil factory. But a matte foundation will wear so nicely throughout the day because towards the end of the day it'll go a little bit dewy, which I like, but it takes a really long time to get there. Versus if I wear a dewy foundation first thing in the morning, by the end of the day I pretty much look like an oil slick. I understand that powdering could probably fix some of that problem, but I don't like the way powder looks on my skin. I feel like when I put it on, it ends up making my skin look like the Saharan desert. I just do not like that look. Okay, this is so pale. I'm gonna try dragging it down my neck a little bit. That is still pale. Oh boy. Okay, for bronzer, I've been fairly consistent in finishing up bronzers over the years. It's one of my favorite products to finish up, so I don't have anything that's really that old. I think my Physicians Formula Butter Bronzer is my oldest bronzer. My MAC Refined Golden might be around the same age, but it's definitely not the right skin tone color for me right now. It's more of a summer bronzer. So I'm going to be using my beloved Butter Bronzer. I don't get tired of this thing. This is phenomenal. It's one of those ones that when I finish it up, I want to go get a new one right away, but I've got so many other bronzers that I should finish up, so I'm not going to be doing that. Physicians Formula has always made really good bronzers. I finished up one of their hearts ones, you know, the ones that had like the little hearts suspended, not suspended, but like imprinted into the bronzer. Used up one of those. I think that was the very first bronzer I ever owned. It was so good. Loved that thing. Just trying to bring some color back into my face because I obliterated it. Oh boy. Okay, that sort of worked, but I still feel very bright in the center of my face. Good to know. I won't be wearing the palest shade of Revlon Colorstay for a while. Or ever. Like, I'm not getting any sun now. When am I ever going to be paler than that shade? Guess not. So, my oldest blush. I've got another story for you. I was never a blush person. I felt really uncomfortable wearing it. I thought it just showed up too much on my face and was super obvious, which sounds funny now because I wear any kind of makeup. So I didn't own blush for a really long time, and it wasn't until I think it was within our first year of being married that I had mentioned to my husband that there was a blush that I thought there was the most beautiful color of on Tim Talia's website. And I wasn't expecting him to go pick it up, but he surprised me at Christmas with that blush, and it is the Tarte Blissful blush. And this is absolutely my oldest shade of blush. It's either 9 or 10 years old now. And it's just this beautiful coral shade. And this took me a while to like learn how to use, especially in connection with bronzer. I really struggled on how to put it on my face without looking too strange. And over time, it took a long time, but I finally figured it out. My favorite for the Tarte blushes is using a dual fiber brush. This is the MAC 130 brush. And I just feel like it works the best for dispersing the color. So I just start in the middle and then like literally stamp all the way around. And I always had to remember back in the day, like teaching myself between bronzer and blush and where to put the colors, I had to learn to like try to meld it into the bronzer. And then that's when I finally liked how it looked, because before I would have like blush and then bronzer, and there was almost like a line between the two, and I'm like, that doesn't work for me. So this was the first blush I ever owned, and I still think it's my favorite. Okay, the next one is a good one. It is a powder from, I believe, 1999. It is the original MAC Silver Dusk. Yes, this packaging is beat up. It doesn't come in this type of packaging anymore. I've got like chips on the cap. The label at the back, let's see if this will focus, literally only says Silver Dusk. This is all kinds of like leftover makeup remnants on the outside of the cap, or the case rather. And it still performs like identical to the current version. So I have repurchased this in the current powder packaging or whatever, because I wanted to have like fresh updated copy of Silver Dusk. But honestly, there's so much product in this original packaging that I really didn't need to pick up the new one. But for old time's sake and whatever, I just wanted to have new stuff. However, I'm going to be using this one today. It does not smell funny. I've used it before in recent years and there's no issue with it whatsoever. So I'm just going to put my little brush in there, tap it off, because so much comes off on these from like the powder packaging, and just apply it. Now, back in the olden days, I used to put this everywhere on my face. I glowed like a disco ball. It was ridiculous. I didn't know how to use this because highlighter wasn't, yeah, look how strong that is. Highlighter isn't really, or wasn't really a thing back in that day. But I love this stuff because it just looked like fairy lights. And it's funny now because you can really build it up to be quite a strong streak of light, but you can also make it look kind of just like luminescent. And honestly, it's beautiful. I use so much of this and I can't believe that there's so much left in this original packaging. Like, it's just unreal. I used it like on my face, I used it on my eyelids, I covered my body with it, and it's still going strong. I remember opening up the packaging too and giving friends little sampler sizes of it because there was so much product in this darn thing. And you know what? I still love how it looks. I never think to pull out even my new one, but I really should. It's pretty. Okay, that is the face done. Oh, brows. I'm not looking forward to this. So my oldest brow product right now is this brow pomade by Inglot. This was part of the JLo collection. She has her own collection now. She's not part of Inglot anymore. And I used to love using brow pomades. What shade is this, first of all? J501 Taupe. Not that that helps you because I don't sell it anymore. I've hit pan on this thing because I did use quite a bit of it back in the day. I'm scared to use it now because I don't think that I was very good at using brow pomades, and I much prefer how I do my brows now. But for the sake of this video, I'm going to give this a shot. So my favorite brush to use with brow pomades was this Art Deco eyebrow brush. So it's got like a tiny like slanted little tip on this edge, which is very fine pointed, which I like, or at least I used to like, and it's got a spoolie on the other end. So I'm going to do my best with this, and we'll see how it goes. Okay, that's not bad, I think. I definitely went a lot lighter handed than I used to do. I used to like basically just, I don't know, like I blocked in the whole thing, and I definitely didn't bring my lack of brow hairs and draw them in out here. I remember I got so offended one time when somebody left me a comment saying, you know, you draw your eyebrows too far back or whatever. I'm like, but that's where my eyebrow starts. Like, frankly, my eyebrow, like, you can see it over here. Like, it doesn't start close to, like, this line where everybody says to draw them into. It starts back here. It starts where almost my pupil starts, right? Pupil? Iris? Whatever. Like, it's far back. So I always thought it was kind of stupid to, like, draw in fake hairs over here because that's just not where my eyebrow is. They were right though, and it does look better if I draw in some hairs here, but I don't want to take it too far because then I feel like it's not quite me. But this definitely looks better than what I thought was going to happen. Like, it's been a good probably year or two since I've done pomade brows. All right, let's see if I can replicate this on the other side. I think the reason I used to just block them in was honestly because it was just easier to like draw them on, as opposed to trying to like make fake hairs with this stuff. Like it's not like a fun experience trying to draw hairs with this. It's just time consuming. And like, what's going on here? Now I'm making like feathers. Jeez. It just looks like feathers now. The problem is now I gotta add some over here to make it look the same. Oh my god, it's all gone wrong. What am I doing? What am I doing? Jeez. I shouldn't have fucked with it. Frig. Okay, let's see. It was fine before, now I've screwed it up. Okay, they're adequate. I just need to stop before it goes really haywire. Okay, last thing was lips, and I have what I think is my oldest lipstick right now. I would have had plenty of MAC lipsticks back from like ye olden days. Why do I keep saying it that way? Back from when I was like in figure skating, I remember having the lipstick from MAC called Expose. Started with an X, very, you know, edgy. And I would have had some other ones as well, but they smelled over time, so I definitely threw them out. So the oldest one that I have right now is one of the Maybelline Vivids. I don't think they make them anymore. These are phenomenal. When I first saw these being promoted in drugstores, I was like, oh, like those colors are so beautiful, but I'm not somebody who wears lipstick. I felt very uncomfortable wearing it. I thought it drew too much attention to my face, and I was just like, oh, I don't know if I can do that. And then I kind of listened to what I was saying to myself, and I'm like, that's ridiculous. You can wear anything that you want. You just have to be confident in what you're doing. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna be the person that can wear Maybelline Vivid lipsticks. So I picked some up, and the first shade that I got, I think, was either Shocking Coral or this one called Vivid Rose. And I was like, Shell, you're gonna be the person that wears this kind of color. So that's what I did. I bought the lipstick, brought it home, and just started wearing it, and was like, you're just gonna get comfortable with this. So that's the shade we're putting on today. Still smells fine. It's old, but it still smells fine. And that's the lipstick color on. It took me, again, a long time to get used to wearing colors like this, but I just kind of dove in head first, and now I have no issues really wearing any color. So that's it for the trip down memory lane using all of my oldest makeup products in my collection. Let me know if you were grossed out by the fact that some of these are a few decades old. Frankly, it doesn't really bother me. If something smells and behaves fine, I'm okay to use it. But yeah, thinking about it, looking at it now, I love this lipstick color, but I think Shocking Coral would have worked a little bit better with this top. Anyway, that's gonna be it for this video. Thank you so much for joining me today. Let me know maybe about the oldest makeup product that you have in your collection. And like, don't be afraid to say how old it is. Like, I already showed you some eyeshadows and some powders from 1997, okay? So like, I've got some old stuff on hand. Thanks again for joining me, and hopefully I'll see you next time. Bye.